live. How are you today, Ba?
I'm good. I'm good. Uh, it's been a good Saturday morning for us. The wife and I went over to the west end of Glasgow, and she found this coffee shop. It's a Turkish coffee shop, and it's really nice inside. It's all like antique furniture, really lounged, and there's loads of books, and it's just a really nice place that you could just sit there all day and study or whatever. And that's right up my wife's street. And also, have you ever seen the way they make coffee in Turkey? And I'm going to get this wrong, but I saw an Instagram video once before where it looks as though they're doing it over a hot barrel, and it's like marbleized, and they're kind of moving it around, and then they pick it up in a ladle and put it into your cup. It's a weird way, but it's really nice.
But
So
isn't Turkish coffee really strong?
yeah, well, we got it. We tried the Turk. That's what it was called, and it was about £3, £4. So it's quite expensive, and you only get it in a little cup, and you can only drink half of it because he told us when you get down to the bottom half, it's very powdery and you can't drink it. He's like, that's just the way it is. It's a coffee that you're supposed to sip and like an espresso, but
Okay.
just sip away at it. So and then we ended up just staying and having food. So I had a lamb burger, and the wife had chana masala, and it was amazing. So shout out to Ottoman Coffee. We may as well. This is the thing we could do: promote businesses, promote local businesses. They might end up listening to us.
Okay. All right. Cool.
What
Cool.
about yourself?
You should tell them that you're giving them a shout
Oh
out.
yeah.
Well, today was the day that we were supposed to pick our son up and bring him home for summer vacation, but I had some major car issues yesterday.
Oh,
And I had taken my car in for them to check something, and everything was fine. And I'm literally, I go to the market. I'm literally pulling in. I get halfway in, and my car just stops. All the lights start coming on, whatever. So I'm calling them. I'm like, guys, whatever. So they said, well, can you turn the car on? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It would not do anything. So then I let it sit for a little bit, turned it on. I finally pulled it all the way in, and they came and picked it up. And they said, "You're supposed to drive to LA tomorrow, right?" And I said, "Yeah." They're like,
oh,
"Well, I don't think you're going to have this car." So when we go, we take my car because I have an SUV, so most of the stuff goes in my car, then my husband's car. So
yeah.
I'm like, great. So I called my neighbor, and I was like, I have a huge ask to ask you. I said,
Mhm.
it's huge, and you guys do so much for us, but can you like drive your truck to LA tomorrow? Because we need to pick up our son, whatever. And he said, I'm going to Big Bear with my father tomorrow, but I can do it on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
And I said, well, Sunday's Mother's Day. I said, is that going to be an issue for you? And he
Mhm.
said, no, no. If you need to go get them, we will go get them. So that's how my Mother's Day will be spent. So, but I was told that the surprise that they have for me, and they know I hate surprises. I hate surprises, but they guarantee me this is something I'm really gonna like. So instead of doing it on Sunday, we'll do it Monday. So I
Awesome.
have no clue what it is. So
Hmm.
hence us doing a show today instead of tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah.
So, yeah. So okay, so on your show on Thursday, I
Hmm.
know it kind of changed topics, whatever, but I just want to, talk to you a little bit more about how you delve into this conspiracy theory thing and how far down the rabbit hole you go. If you're like
Yeah.
all the way down there with Alice in Wonderland, or if you are halfway through, you get stuck, or you're at the top.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know. I mean, I like talking about it. There are some people that are, there's levels to this stuff, and I don't want to sound all hocusy pocusy or whatever, but it's a new thing for me, as in it's been 5 or 6 years, and it just fell into my lap where I've told this story so many times. I'm sure people are sick of it, so I'll keep it short. I was at a house party, and this guy come up to me and told me that he believed in the earth being flat. And up until that point in my life, I was so focused on politics. I was really into, the American stuff, and I still am, but I've kind of, the conspiracy stuff took over. But I knew more about American politics than I did the UK. I used to listen to, obviously with Donald Trump, it was a polarizing time. Even in the UK, we were getting bits and pieces. And I would listen to people like Louder with Crowder, Stephen Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, and I would listen to podcasts. I would listen to Joe Rogan every day, every episode. I'd listen to him. So I knew more about America, and you're hearing little bits and pieces about Operation Northwoods and JFK and aliens and things. When you're when you listen to politics, you hear little, or Martin Luther King, or what's the other one? The other black guy, Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
Yeah, okay. So you're hearing little bits, but not conspiracy. I would just say it's kind of like, ooh, that's something that I should look into one day. So conspiracy theories were never across my radar, other than like maybe when I go into my grandma's house and she goes through to her bed at 8, 9 o'clock at night and she puts on CSI, or she'll watch like some UFO type, like something on Channel 5. Yeah. So, I mean, we all know about the aliens and all that kind of stuff, but when that guy mentioned flat Earth, it just struck a chord. Like most people, I think, and I mean, even including yourself, like, and this is when people say, "Oh, I believe in flat Earth," or "I believe JFK was assassinated by the CIA," or "I don't think we landed on the moon," it goes in one ear and out the other, or it's like, okay, and then you'll prejudge. You'll maybe say, "That's a bit crazy. He's a bit," especially the flat Earth. I totally get that, and that's why I don't really lead with it. Although I love talking about it. It should be a fun topic. Like the other night, we'll mention Q Bella and Tuddles had a show, and thanks for sending that over to me. When I woke up, I was straight on listening to it at work, and I thought it was a really great show. You had people actually interacting properly, not shouting and all that, and that's what happens, and that's what I hate. I can't stand it. Where if you're talking about your beliefs, not only in conspiracies, in politics as well, that you're going to get hatred and shouting over the top and people storming out of rooms, and that's the part I can't handle it. And so, as I say, when that guy told me he believed in flat Earth, it was like, wow, why? I was 29, I think at the time, 30. And I was like, why have I never known about people believing in flat Earth? And I was like, is it just him? Is it 1,000 people? Is it 1,000,000 people? Like, what? So I went home that night, and basically 8 months later, I'm a flat earther. Like literally 8 months, and I'm not exaggerating, guys. I had a job that I had 2 weeks night shift, 2 weeks day shift, and while I was on night shift, I can say this now because I'm no longer there, but I could literally sit and press my machine on and go behind my machine and sit and read a paper, read a book, watch a documentary, watch a film. There was guys watching Netflix, like watching series on their phone while their machine's running, and they knew that as long as the work was being done, So literally for 8 months, that's all I did was watch debates, listen to podcasts on flat Earth. I stuck to one topic, and I know this is going to sound crazy to people, but to me, it's 100%. Well, I always say 90%. We're living on a flat Earth. Like it's so obvious, but until someone takes that leap of faith and goes and looks at things, and it's not only like the facts about, oh, we can see too far, whatever. It's when you get into where that theory came from, and it's actually way back in the 1500s, and a group of people created the globe model. So everyone before that believed in flat Earth. That's the stuff that's kind of hidden, because a lot of these conspiracies like 9/11, JFK, you can talk about, who was there and all that, and how many people died. But see, when you look into the secret societies, or who runs, or who starts the theories, that's where you start to be suppressed on social media. And that's where I ended up getting into the darker stuff about, World War II, the secret societies that run the world, the hidden governments, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. And I genuinely believe that even yourself, I've heard you talking about the Rockefellers, I think, and the
Mhm,
Rothschilds.
mhm,
We know
mhm.
this stuff. And I think a lot of people, you walk into anyone's house and you start talking about, do you think Joe Biden's really making the big decisions? Or do you think Boris Johnson's really, they're all like, no, no way. But they don't take it that extra step further where I do. Like, that's the only difference. I think if you was to go down the same rabbit holes as me, you would come out with the same conclusions. It's just people aren't willing to do it.
Well, okay, with flat Earth, I haven't gotten there. I have not gotten there. But in terms of like JFK, do I believe that the CIA killed him? I think it could have been the CIA, the FBI. I think it could have been anybody, because the bottom line is when people are assassinated, I don't believe, I mean, yes, you do have your crazy people out there who run up and kill you, whatever. But I think that when you get up to the high levels
Mm.
and you have the president or prime minister or the emperor, whatever,
Mhm.
that's planned.
Mhm.
Just like in Rome, all that stuff is planned. We're going to take out this person, we're going to put you in. Then we don't like you anymore, so we're going to take you out. So yes, definitely. Um, do I think Joe Biden's calling the shots? Nope. Do I think Trump was calling the shots? Nope. I mean, no, I don't.
Mhm.
But for some things, for some I guess that, like I was saying before, I just can't look at everything every day as,
Mhm.
okay, so she said that. So what does she actually mean? And
Mhm.
I'm going to call you out on something too. I'm sorry, my memory. I did a show on. Were we talking about children on one of my shows this past week or something? I forgot what we were talking about. And then you said, if if you're talking about what I think you're talking about,
Yeah.
and I wasn't. I was just simply, I
Yeah.
was simply, saying that. And then you called me out before when I said, when I tweet some stuff and I say, what would happen if? But what
Mhm.
would happen if is something I say all the time. I say that to my husband. I say that to my friends. My
Yeah.
son will do something. I'll say, now what would happen if, what would
Yeah.
happen if? That's just something that I say. So there's
Mhm.
nothing clans,
No.
like a clans
Yeah.
dying or anything. So that's why I say that you can't look at everything and say, well, what does she mean? Or what did he mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That is obviously that'll come in time when I get to know you more. That's that part of it is that because obviously we're new and there's
Right.
things that I don't know about you and the way that you are with that kind of stuff. And the other thing is I just assume that everything that you write, again, this was probably tying into my first point that I don't know you as well yet, but when you're posting things, it's to kind of get a reaction and to kind of get people thinking, and that's what I think, So maybe I'm mistaken there.
Honestly, a lot of the things that I post are literally just my own thoughts. A
Yeah,
lot of the things that I post is like somebody will say something and I'll respond to them like like somebody said um do you think Gilligan's Island or something? It was just a silly tweet, whatever. And I
yeah,
tweeted whatever. I mean, just I'm just
mhm,
responding. So a lot of them are my own thoughts.
mhm,
There are some things that I'm tweeting that we've talked about that you disagree with, whatever. But again, most of the things that I'm tweeting really are just my own thoughts. And if people want to pick up on it, whatever, then they can. But I'm not
mhm,
trying to I'm not trying to say, well, this person's this or this person's that. And then there are some
yeah,
things that people tweet where I respond to it and I'm being a little bit sarcastic or I'm being a little on the snarky side. But then I'm
mhm,
like, you know what? I'm not even going to respond. And there are some things that I've liked, and I'm like, nope, I'm gonna take that back,
mhm.
whatever, because especially with this whole abortion thing. Let me ask this: who do you think leaked the Roe versus Wade thing? Because
Did you?
me personally, I think it was a leak, and I think
Yeah,
it came from the Supreme Court.
Okay. Did you see my status I put up today? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm
Well,
asking. I have not been on
okay.
Twitter
See,
at all today.
this is what I mean by before I got into conspiracies, I would have been all over that. Who leaked it? I would have known. Like if it's knowable information, I would have known because they do tell us. Like the Hunter Biden laptop, the whistleblower for Russian collusion, the Ukraine collusion stuff. Sorry, I would have known. Like there was an episode of Joe Rogan where I think it was Tim Pool said, "Oh, you can't say this name, or this episode will be removed," and he wrote it down on a piece of paper and slid it across to Joe Rogan, and everyone in the comment section was, "We know the name." So it's like they'll put out the names, but here's the thing: my status today on Twitter was something along the lines of, whenever you hear the word leaked or whistleblower in the mainstream on CNN, Fox, BBC, whatever, they want you to know that information. You honestly try to tell me that Hunter Biden's bank statements were leaked? Like, nobody has access to Hunter Biden's bank statements, and I'm not sticking up for him, but nobody. How can you leak a bank statement? So this is the stuff that
Now that
my
I will disagree on, just for the fact of just to play both sides here.
Mhm,
You do have a lot of people who are out there hacking, and just like that kid, supposedly that
mhm.
18-year-old kid who hacked into Elon Musk or something and said he'll stop following him around or doing something if he pays him off or something. I mean,
Okay.
I do believe, because you do have people who do hack and they're very good at it.
Mhm.
So that's why I think something like that is possible. And I say
Yeah.
that again because my husband and I, we were, our bank account years ago was hacked into, and they took all of our money.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I think that is possible.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not possible, but when, like you said earlier, like these at that levels, they're not leaking anything. They are leaking things for us to go down these rabbit holes, or for us to. It's kind of mind control where, like, let's say, for instance, and I don't think this will where it'll go, but let's say someone like Joe Biden. Well, we'll use Hunter Biden's bank statement was hacked, right? They've done that in order to. It's like create a problem and then use the solution, or there's like a process that they use, and these are all like methods of doing things. So let's say, for instance, they want us all to go electric cars. What would they do? They would hike up the price of petrol. So it's like, hike up the price, get everyone to go to electric cars. That's the kind of thing they do. So this is no different. If they want the human population to do something that benefits them, the government or the whatever, they'll create a problem in society and they'll push it out on all the mainstream platforms, and we'll all get the conversations going. And that's where you get Twitter's trending section, and everyone's commenting, going, "Oh yeah, see, I think he should be taken to task. I think, oh, that's wrong. This is wrong," and we're all arguing, and then the government will pass something based on that. But it's always what they want. It's never, they'll manage to manipulate everyone's minds to coming around to their way of thinking.
So, what do you think would happen if everyone in the world, again, this is my what would happen if, if everyone in the world for one day turned off their TV sets, didn't watch the news. I mean, everyone just, it was time at this particular time, everyone's going to shut it down and we'll turn it all back on if you want to at this particular time. Do you think there would be a major effect in the news channel or news waves or whatever? Do you think that for
Yeah.
that 24 hours, do you think there would be an effect?
I mean, 24 hours isn't enough because it's been lifetimes of this stuff. But
Okay,
I
so
get I
think
get
if
where
it were like a week?
a week would help big time. I think a week would definitely. I mean, financially, it would definitely help if everyone came off of social media and turned off their TVs. they would hate that because that's their way of it. I know when you say things like brainwashing and mind control, it's like, oh, here we go. But we are all brainwashed. I am included. Like whenever you see an advert on a TV or you're listening to a podcast or anything, you're taking in someone else's opinions, and some of that you'll be like, okay, I believe that. Some of that you're not. That is brainwashing unless you go and find someone that disagrees with that and then make your own mind up. So this, I know it sounds dramatic, but it literally is. If you have someone that's living on the edge of a river with no electricity and fishes for their food, and they have no idea about COVID or World War III or anything like that. They're living great life. Like I'm not saying they're living the best life, but they're
Right.
probably the happiest people on the
They
planet.
probably are. They
Yeah.
probably are. They probably are. So, do you think that commercials that when advertisers, like for the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
okay, do you think that advertisers are buying ads for that particular event?
Mhm.
Not just, of course, to sell their stuff, but that there's a message in there somewhere
Yeah.
that
Well,
okay.
here's a good one for you, and you'll maybe like this one because I know that you're religious and you Bible. Do you know that every Super Bowl since, I don't know when, but I know since I got into politics and conspiracy, so 2017, 18, the halftime Super Bowl show is very satanic and it's in your face, but only if you know what you're looking for. People are sitting down watching it. Like the main one that I remember is Lady Gaga, where she's up on top of the Super Bowl stadium and she's dressed in black and she's dressed as a star and she falls from the heavens. She's the fallen angel. She's Lucifer. And if you watch her display and her songs, in the halftime Super Bowl, it's Luciferian. She's telling the story of Lucifer and how he fell from the heaven. And then you had Shakira and J Lo's one where she was like holding her hands up like that, like she was tied, like slavery, tied like with her hands, and they were doing dances that were occultist dances. Like people will know. Like I said, it's been a while, but people sit and like decode the halftime Super Bowl show because they're doing things in front of us because they know they've got all the eyes on the Super Bowl. It's one of the biggest watched things in the year. And what they're doing is doing rituals in front of us all. They're like casting spells on us. And that's the part I'm not too good with, but it's like energy is huge to these people. Like you have to think back to like way, way, way back when religion was really, really, it really run the world. Like, you know, Judaism and Christianity, like Jesus and all that, right? Religion was huge. And those same people still run the world today. Do you know that the saying that I hear a lot is Rome fell, it didn't fall, it rebranded. And the Nazis lost World War II. No, they didn't. They just rebranded.
I
It's
can
it's
I can see that. I
yeah.
can see that. Yeah.
So your Bidens and your Trumps and your prime ministers and presidents, they're part of secret societies, but the people above that, they are they're very religious, like Zionism and evangelical Christians about like the rapture and bringing back Christ. Those people run our world. The people that believe that, and they're putting occult magic into the world, like using their angel numbers, like 33, the angel number, 666. Remember I said to you the other day, Joe Biden says, oh, well, it doesn't matter if we pass this COVID law in 6 months, 6 weeks, or 6 days, we'll get it done. You'll see that now that like, I know to people listening,
I have to look something up. Go ahead. Keep talking.
to the people hearing this is my best tip for people, and I do this on purpose, and I'm not being nefarious or anything, but I tell people, look out for the number 33. So Solid, from now on, look out for that number 33. You'll see it all the time now. It's like when you want a car, you might want the new Lexus, and you're like, oh, I like that car. You'll start seeing that Lexus, right? It's same with the number 33. You'll start seeing it everywhere. Joe Biden passed 33 executive orders in his first week. America are sending 33 billion over to Ukraine. Christopher Columbus sailed 33 days to discover America. Buzz Aldrin expensed his moon mission for $33. Rodney King was beaten 33 times.
Well, actually,
Uh,
it wasn't 33. It was 50, 55.
no, it was 33. Unless there's more but and here's another one. O.J. Simpson was sentenced to 33 years and had to give the family $33 million. That what's happening there is the Freemasons, the highest level of Freemasonry is 33. That's when you become a master mason, and they are basically putting their mark on things. So I believe the moon mission was faked and it was run by the Freemasons. Like the eagle has landed. The Freemason symbol's eagle, Houston, hewer of stone. It's Freemasonry. So what they're doing is they're saying we're taking off from launch pad that's shaped like the Shining, and that rocket has to reach Mach 33 to evade the Earth's atmosphere. They're telling us the Masons did this. That's their calling card.
Okay, so let's talk about space and going to the moon. Do you think that the Challenger and I can't remember the other one, that they really exploded coming back into Earth?
The Challenger is the one, is it that blew up
Right?
before it took off?
No, it was, oh, yeah, the Challenger, right? Because that one was the one that had the school teacher in it, right? So that one
Yeah.
was blew up before they took off. But then the
Mhm.
other one that was coming back to Earth and at re-entry, it blew
Yeah.
up something.
See, I haven't looked into that one. I did for this is years ago, and I haven't really done a deep dive. I would say when I do my podcast, I do a deep dive. So for 2 weeks, I'll just focus only on one conspiracy theory. I'll watch documentaries. I'll read articles. I'll listen to podcasts for 2 weeks solid. But the Challenger one, I haven't really looked into. Although I do know. Do you know that is it the 8 people that's said to have died? the they all didn't die. Some of them didn't even change their names. They're still living. Well, they might still be living today, but there's a
Okay,
famous
so
video of
you're saying, okay, so you're saying that a ship blows up or whatever. Were they even on it?
no,
Okay. All right.
and the same with the one that I was talking about the other day, the Apollo 11. They don't even have to leave. Like, do you not ever wonder, like with the curve, when the rocket goes up, it kind of curves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why is it curving? It should just go straight up. But
So you're saying that at that point, for whatever reason, it's coming back to Earth,
yeah,
or people are getting
there's
off
a
on
lot
it.
of there's a lot of conspiracy theories believe that during a launch, the Bermuda Triangle is where they're landing it, or they're landing it in the water. It's just a drone basically, but there's also no flights taking off during a launch in that area. So
I mean, well, that makes sense technically, that why a flight wouldn't take off. So, do
yeah,
you think that the Bermuda Triangle exists for if you cross the Bermuda Triangle, you may not come back or
no,
whatever? So, do you?
I've never, other than that conspiracy, it's the only time I've ever heard about the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, I've heard, obviously you joke about it and throughout my life, but I've never heard the Bermuda Triangle come up in any conspiracies other than that one for that reason only.
So,
It's it.
what about Area 51, or is it Area 50? No, Area 50.
This is one topic, and this is probably a good time to say it because I've never actually said this on my own show, but I really, really do not want to do alien conspiracy stuff. I just don't believe in it. I think it's the government. I think they are trolling us. They're putting things up to wind up. I don't believe in aliens.
So, okay, so do you believe that, okay, supposedly Earth is supposed to be the only planet where you can live, where there's earth, where you can breathe and grass can grow in the air and trees and food and blah blah blah. So, do you believe that there are other planets?
No.
So, if you were to take a telescope and look into the sky, what are you seeing?
I don't. I think they are either. I do know what you're saying. When sometimes you can see Mars or Venus. There's one that you can see now and again. I don't think they're planets. I think they're just balls of gas. I think they're like stars, basically.
Okay, I've heard people say that. So,
Yeah.
So you
That's the one. Sorry, that's the one side of flat Earth that I haven't. Because people are saying that there's planets that you can see now and again, and I've never really gone down that side of it because there's flat Earth you could literally dedicate your life to. There's so much, but the planet stuff to me, and again, this is where I think you as a Christian and even Christians listening with the Bible stuff should be on board with a lot of this stuff. And I'm not saying that to kind of guilt trip you into believing in flat Earth. I'm not at all. But the stuff that I believe in very much aligns with Christianity in the Bible. That's why I said on your show the other night there that when I go into Telegram and I'm in a couple of group chats with, sometimes there's thousands of, like, up maybe 6,000-7,000 people in one group chat, and it's like conspiracy theorists at all levels, but the ones that have kind of been doing this for pretty much all their life, they've been reading books and watching documentaries and really into it. They're all Christians. They're all believing in the Bible. They all know that dinosaurs are a hoax, space is a hoax. It's kind of guided towards believing in God.
So you don't think that dinosaurs
No,
on the earth?
no. That's
Why?
one. That's what I'm going to do soon. I know Dinosauria was invented in the
I'm gonna have to,
1700s.
since you're going to do a show on that, I'm gonna have to do a little research on that one
Yeah.
too. So, okay, so dinosaurs. You don't believe dinosaurs roam the earth?
Mm.
Do you believe in that there was a such thing as a caveman or a cave woman?
See, that's good ones because I don't know the creation story. Like I know that Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden, and all that. And as I said to you on your show the other night, I think these stories are metaphorical. Like the Noah and the Ark, I think it's metaphors for World War and COVID and the Spanish flu. It's kind of like it's just metaphors. And I'm sure you could look into it and go like Abraham with the child and the
Mhm.
sacrifice, and it's metaphors for things that really happen. Likewise with the mark of the beast. That's not just one thing. It's like some people believe the mark of the beast is coming. One day it'll come. I think there's been a few things that have been mark of the beast. It's like a reoccurring thing. And the same with the world ending. I think that means know how everyone's saying just now we're into the age of Aquarius. That's a new world. That's what I think of when I hear um, the world's ending. It's not that the world's ending. It's we're entering into a new star sign or new whatever that is, Aquarius. I'm not really good with astrotheology, but the whole thing about what happens after we die, how did we get here? I am 100% believer we are created, um, because I believe in flat Earth and because of other things. Plus, one of the bigger reasons is because the people that run our world clearly believe in Lucifer. Like they believe in the bad stuff. I believe, like, and I mean, if you look into this long enough, you will see that there's a very religious undertone to our world. Like, things that are happening, they'll put I'm sure you've seen it, that Christianity is being demonized right now. It's been demonized for a long time.
Mhm.
Um, and the people that run our world are the opposite. They believe in Lucifer and Aleister Crowley and, all this kind of dark stuff and dark magic and occultism. So that's why I also think they know something that we don't. I think the people that really run the world, they'll know where we came from. And I don't know if it's cavemen or I definitely know it's not monkeys. That's a lot of rubbish. But it's not something that I'm kind of invested a lot of time on.
Well, I will say this, in terms of mark of the beast, and I know
Mm.
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble with conservatives when I say this, but I think the mark of the beast is only us has already shown up. And when they say that you will wear it on your forehead, I think that it is being worn on many foreheads, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But I do believe the beast is here. He is making himself known, and everyone is wearing the mark of the beast on their forehead. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So,
I'm not with you. You don't want to say.
I'm going to get into a lot of trouble if I say
Ah,
this. I'm going to get into a lot of trouble if I say this, but I have literally, I've thought about this and I've talked about this with other people, well, with certain people. And when I said it, they were like, oh, come on. And then when they thought about it, they were like, yeah, I can see where you're getting that. But um,
yeah, come on.
I
This is the
think
show where nothing's
I
under.
I think the Mark of the Beast is Trump
Oh, you mean? Do you
and
not mean the Antichrist?
or Antichrist. Well, the Antichrist, yes, and I think the his mark is I'm getting in trouble if I say
No,
this.
say it.
His mark are those people who wear those red hats.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I'm totally serious. I am totally serious. I was watching, every time he comes on TV, I would just turn the channel, whatever. But um when he was in Tulsa back in 2020, no, back in 2019. Yeah, because it was the 100th anniversary.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to hear what he was going to say. And I think he purposely went to Tulsa more of a mockery than anything else. But I'm
Yeah.
sitting there and I'm watching, and that's when I was like, and I'm looking at all these people, and I'm like, and I know, like I said, I'm getting in trouble when I say this. Is he the Antichrist? And
Mhm.
I'm looking at all the people with these hats on, and I'm
Mhm.
like, is that the mark? Whatever.
Yeah.
And I ran that by a couple of my liberal friends, and they were like, oh, come on, whatever. But then I said, no, if you think about it, whatever. I said, because he has this cult like following,
Mhm.
and, so and then a couple of days later, one of my friends called me and they're like, I've been really thinking about what you said. And I said, this is just what I think,
Mhm.
whatever. So I'm pretty sure that people who hear this episode, they're gonna give me a lot of crap, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's I'm just saying. But
I've actually got a really good. She's actually a YouTuber, and I'll send you the episode that springs to mind that can play into what you're saying there, and actually goes for what you're saying. Her name's probably Alexandria or Alexandra. I've wrote it down, so I'll send you the episode that she done. She's a YouTuber, but she's spoke, and I know I'll probably get a lot of pushback for saying this as well, but I think a lot of presidents have had that tag of Antichrist. But
mhm.
in the video that she does, she says that Obama was the first Antichrist. He was the dark Antichrist, not just because of the color of his skin, but because of the darkness. Like there was a lot of stuff he did that was dark and evil. And I mean, I've heard liberals even say that he was one of the worst presidents that America's ever seen. And then Trump is the light Antichrist, where he shows what's going on. Like I know the cult following, you're totally right because I was one of them at one point. But like he's showing up a lot of the dark stuff that's going on, like the child sex trafficking. He was kind of, and that's why he's got that. But there is obviously a lot of bad to him as well. I'm
Well,
still not.
I don't know because with Obama, there was some things about him. I still question his right before he won, the whole thing with his pastor or with his whoever that was, and what his pastor was into, whatever, which was kind of some dark and shady stuff. So I question that, but I don't know.
Mhm.
I see where you can go down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
on some things, but
Hmm.
not on everything.
Yeah.
And again, I just come back to saying that, you know, I think everyone just needs to take a day where their mind is clear and just like you did today. You and your wife went out and you had coffee and you
Yeah.
had a good time. So I mean,
Mhm.
that's what I'm taught. That's what I mean. Just
I was,
having
I was actually, I was
yeah.
actually thinking about you today because other than that, when I got home, I changed into my sweatpants and I got on Call of Duty with my friends all day up until half an hour before we jumped on, and I'm sitting going, "This has been a waste of a day." No,
Well, you know what? At least you were not watching playing Call of Duty.
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was doing.
Oh, okay, okay. So
Yeah,
you were doing the bang, 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 like Zilla or
yeah.
something.
Oh, he needs to lay off the Dr Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
So this probably Alexandria. Maybe she's somebody that we can, get on the show.
maybe. I've only ever
So
listened to two or three. She actually has a really good episode on children's cartoons and in comparing them from like the 70s and 80s to like the 90s and 2000s and showing you how brainwashing occurs in children as well. It's really good. She shows up, she puts in some examples where they're saying things like, I mean, I'm sure you saw during, I mean, we're still in the COVID times, but how Sesame Street kind of brainwashed kids. And that's what it is. I know I'm using that and some people are like, oh, come on. But it's like, come on, children, wash your hands and all that. And then get your injections because that to me is wrong
okay,
because,
that I haven't seen. I don't have a problem with washing your
yeah,
hands because I do believe you should wash your hands.
yeah,
But I have not seen. I mean, I have not watched Sesame Street since my son was
yeah.
little, so I don't even know what's going on Sesame
See,
Street.
see
But no,
that
I go ahead.
Well, that for me is wrong, and everyone should realize it's wrong. Even if you're pro-vax and pro anything that they're pushing, it shouldn't come from the TV. It should come
No,
from
no.
the parents, And when you're slapping your kids down in front of the TV, because I know there are a lot of parents that they don't have time for their children. They're just there. You go. There's an iPad, or throw on the
Mm,
TV for them and let the TV bring them up. Then you're having, well, like we're all seeing, and I'm sure you'll get behind this one, where the teenagers to like maybe 30-year-olds in America are all socialists because that's all they're getting taught in schools. Like they're all Bernie Sanders voters. And luckily you said, well, they're not going out to vote though, but it's still there. Like the brainwashing is occurring on TV and in schools. And it's scary because I know in my lifetime, these are the people that will end up voting and they're all going to be for all this stuff, all this socialist, communist
but
stuff.
okay, but at the same time, though, when you look at what's being taught in schools, it's like one group they don't want you to teach this, but they expect you to send your kid to learn about that. We don't want to do this, but you have to come and learn about that. So in that case, then I think you know parents should not be mandated to send their children to school at all because like I said, why should I have to send my kid to learn about George Washington and everything? Why do I have to learn about this? If I'm going to learn about somebody, tell me everything about them. Just don't pick and choose.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. We're turning into a world where the right, yes, I'm gonna say this, the right says, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. But when you have the left saying freedom of speech, when you had Colin Kaepernick exercising his freedom of speech by taking a knee or whatever, it was still freedom of speech, but the right didn't want to hear it. Now
Mhm.
all of a sudden is, well, the left is suppressing us. The left is suppressing us. Well, aren't we just suppressing each other?
Mhm.
I mean, because so that's why this whole Elon Musk thing, like freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. But it's like, but who's the one that's going around making all these laws where you can't do this, can't do that? The right's doing it, but then again, so is the left.
Mhm.
And that's why again, I come back to this word or two words: independent responsibility. Is up to you to decide
Mhm.
what is right, what is wrong, what is best for you, what is not best for you, what is best for your children. They may have to do it while they're younger, but then when they turn 18, they may stray away from what you were saying, whatever. But
A lot of it as well is Does any of this stuff, like I know obviously that one does with the school and what you're being taught, it does affect you if you have kids, but that's something that I also sometimes I think I mean I'm loving this show that we're doing and I'm loving getting back into the politics stuff, but there are some times I'm like, why am I bothering? Like it's insanity to sit and argue with someone on, especially on Twitter or Facebook, and where it's a cesspit of hatred and the way people talk to each other. But there was a show that it was actually Article 9, was it, where Michael Key hosted your show on a Thursday night, and I think I said about two or three sentences. I didn't talk for much of it because that's the type of thing that I'm not above this stuff now, but I feel like that's what they're doing. They're putting out things like Roe v. Wade or Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, or or Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, and it's to get people arguing. And to be honest, it doesn't affect our lives. And
Yeah.
if it does, then make the decision. Like the schooling thing. If you don't want your kid being taught critical race theory, then pull them out, homeschool, do something about it.
But
And
it's not just, but that goes for everything. And one reason why I homeschooled my son was because I did not like what he was in two private schools. I did not like what they were teaching him. I did not want to send him to a public school, whatever. So, but the curriculum that we chose, whatever, it worked, whatever. And you're able to, he still had to turn in assignments. We still had to meet the state requirements to show that your kid was going to school, blah, blah, blah. But I just look at, people who are screaming and hollering, and you go to these school board meetings, whatever. You're screaming and hollering. No one's hearing anyone. Everyone's yelling, whatever. So
yeah,
I don't know.
it's just it's crazy, but it is divide and conquer. It's a lot of this stuff that see the trending. If you go into your Twitter and just go to the trending page, it's all the things they want us talking about. So
Mhm.
that's a form of mind control. It's like, look here, argue about these things, and to me, I think people should just take a step back and like. I know it's good to kind of like what we do. We sit and we talk out our differences and we see if we can reach a conclusion. But a lot of people aren't doing it that way. They're just going in and attacking someone, sitting back and watching the chaos ensue. And it's not good for anyone. I don't get how people can be like that. Again, sometimes I do like to poke fun at certain sides by planting a question that will get people's brains thinking, but also offend people. Because I think that's, like I said in our very first episode, our freedom of speech is to you. In order to seek the truth, you must be willing to risk offense because there's some people that are too in their bubble, and
That,
that's
but,
not.
but that goes with everyone. So that's
Mhm,
why when you say this whole freedom of speech, it's like,
mhm.
what may be freedom of speech to you may not be freedom of speech to someone else, and then vice versa. So we all have to be willing to just listen to what other people say, or just allow them to say it.
No, well, freedom of speech. You know my opinion.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech is freedom of speech for everything,
Mhm.
and when you get people shutting down speech, like the one that springs to my mind is the transgender stuff, where they want to redefine their terms and fine people for misgendering them. If you say sorry, mom, and you turn around and it's actually a guy, you can be fined in Canada, and that's where I draw the line. I think it's a dodgy road to go down where the progressive types are doing that quite a lot, like redefining terms or suppressing speech, and hate crimes is coming into it. I know we're going to do a show, but I heard the other week there that this guy got sentenced to it was a suspended sentence, and I think he got community service, but nonetheless he got this because he had Hitler's biography, Mein Kampf. He had it in his possession, and he had a lot of Nazi memorabilia in his house. He had a helmet and all that. But that doesn't mean to say the guy's going to go killing people. Like, and this is where I'm going to say, I suppose I shouldn't have said it, and I should have saved it for the hate crime show. But you can't go criminalizing people because of what might happen. Like to me, it's a lot of nonsense, and that's the way they're going. They're definitely going that way with a lot of things, not just the Hitler stuff.
Okay, so do you think that books should be banned?
No,
I
I don't
mean,
think anything.
well, I think it's funny because I think a lot of people who are complaining about books, my thing is, have you ever read them?
Exactly.
I mean,
I, I,
seriously, all the people are like, I don't know, my child, no, it's like,
yeah.
have you read these books? We had to read Mein Kampf in high school.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And this
Wow.
was a Lutheran school.
Okay.
And one of our teachers, I mean, she was like, we're going to read this, we're going to read this, we're going to talk about this, we're going to talk about this. And at first it was boring. It's like, okay, we don't really read a book about Hitler. You're in high school, you don't want to read this stuff, whatever. But, the more you read it, the more, I mean, it was an interesting book. Um, uh, and that's all I'll say. I mean, I disagree with a lot of his, thought, process and what have you. But, but the fact that, we read it and okay. I mean, I don't think anybody in class came out any different. Like, they wanted to start World War III, anything. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, your kid reads a book, especially when they're in high school. I think that they're old enough to understand and kind of, you know, they're not in elementary school where they don't know. I think when you get in high school, you're old enough to process things, especially
Maybe.
when no, no, because when some of these kids come out and do some of the things that they do in high school, it's like, I'm sorry, if your child can decide that they want to be transgender, if your child can decide that they want to have sex, if your child, can decide that they're going to go out drinking, whatever, they can handle reading a book.
Oh yeah. I mean, when we're getting into reading a book, yes. But I thought you were meaning, just in general. Like, I just find it so crazy that they're all coming out as socialists and Marxists. Like, that's so
I don't
disturbing.
think that, but I don't think that that's necessarily the school that's doing it. I think it's more so that it is social media. I think that there's so much TikTok out there and Insta and all these other things that, that half of them, and teachers even say it, when they go to class, half their kids are on their phones. They're not even paying attention to the class. So I don't think it's what's being taught in school. I think it's all the noise that's going on that they have access to. I
Uh,
mean, because when I was growing up, we didn't have all this stuff, and we pretty much had to listen to the teachers. There was nothing else to do, But now I think, with the way kids are coming up, I mean, okay, would you say that more high school kids now between the age of 14 and 18 are experimenting with same sex, that you have girls that are experimenting with each other, you have boys that may, okay, and I think that that's not in the classroom or anything. I think that's social media. I think that, and I think it's
yeah.
the type of TV shows. In fact, my show last night, we were talking about TV shows. I think that the TV shows that were out 20 years ago, 30 years ago, compared to what's out now, where you have women kissing, men kissing, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that high school kids, they're
Yeah.
seeing this and that's what they're doing. So it's not what they're being taught in the class, it's everything that's going on outside of class. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you're right, and that's. I mean, that's what I was just saying earlier. Is brainwashing. It's how they do it, and I follow that through 100%. Like, I take that method that they are doing there, whether it's media or government or anything else, and apply it to everything, because it's so obvious. Like, when you have something like gay marriage being, or even just gay, like homosexuality being demonized, 19, what was it, when was it became kind of, well, I mean, it doesn't even matter if you have something that's demonized and then all of a sudden 20, 30 years later it's fine and there's more people doing it.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that it was a good thing, it was demonized, but I'm saying there's something's happened there because humans don't do this on their own. It's not a naturally, that naturally without TV and media and education that we would automatically start becoming gay. Like you see that, like
Right,
I know it's
right.
blunt,
I
but
understand.
it's something. And when you get to that point where you realize something, then you can see what is it then, and then you go, well, is it schools? Well, in that instance, I think you're right. I don't think it is schools, unless maybe biology, but then I don't think that's too big of a
No,
thing.
no, 'cause biology, you're usually cutting up frogs and
Yeah,
you know,
but I do think they're teaching in biology like about the genders and how the transgender stuff. I don't think that maybe the homosexual stuff, but again, I know it's a small percent, but I'm totally with you. When I was young, and I'm talking about like before I was like 10 years of age, the soap opera in the UK, soap operas are huge. Like we have Coronation Street, EastEnders, and Emmerdale, and everyone watches them at 7 o'clock at night. You've got one for half an hour, then the next one, then the next one. So you've got an hour and a half where it's just, and everyone talks about them, and oh, did you see last night he got shot and all that? Oh, I wonder who done it. It's like Dallas, the who done it, who shot JR. So
but
these shows, they often have a teenage pregnancy, a serial killer, a murderer, well, a murderer, serial killer, um, a gay couple. There's something going on that's societal, and it gets conversations going on social media. It gets conversations going in real life, but it also it implants things into you. And I think I did say this on one of your shows is when there's a teenage pregnancy on one of these shows, we'll take that as an example, and the parents act like, okay, they're not going to fully, oh, that's brilliant, oh, great news, but they'll maybe cry, then they'll be like, put their arm around the daughter and say, look, okay, we'll support you and all that. That's making a lot of parents, when it happens to them, be like, oh, remember in the soap opera the other year, oh, they actually accepted it. Oh, maybe we should. Maybe times are changing. Maybe we should accept it. And that's when that comes in. And I'm not hating against, look, if teenage pregnancy happens, it's whatever, but it's how they do it. It's actually called demoralization or desensitization, where 40 years ago you had zero teenage pregnancies. Now you've got 1,000 in a city or whatever every year, whatever. When the numbers start going up, and that is a lot of what, if you look into World War II and Hitler and what he did to Germany, where he banned pornography and he did all these things. That was his mindset, and I'm not sticking up for him because I'm sure we'll get taken down if I do. But that's the mindset, but that the media don't want you having, and they've demonized a man like Hitler. Not saying that he didn't do the things that they're saying, but that part of it, I'm all aboard with. I wouldn't have pornography. I wouldn't have strip clubs and just decadence, just demoralization. The theaters in Germany at that time was all prostitution. There was starvation. There was prostitution on the streets, and he wiped all that out and implemented a lot of things. And I'm going to get shot for this, but I'm not sticking up for him. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that, and that to me, I know it was National Socialism, but it was more like, to me, it was more like giving back the people more power and giving them, they had more money in their pocket, and I don't know. I see that kind of stuff as it's just demoralizing. I just don't like it. I think the world would be better if we just didn't have TV and social media that was brainwashing us.
Well, I need to respond to someone who wants to know if we're on. We're on
Yeah.
now. So okay, so let me ask this: do you believe that sex education should be taught in school?
No.
No, I mean, no
No.
matter
No.
what type of, I mean, of course, with the parents' permission and everything, because when we had it, my parents had to sign off on it. But okay, when I say sex ed, I'm talking about now that we have the transgender and everything, and gay, straight, whatever, all that. Or do you think it's just stick to the birds and the bees. This is what a man does. This is a lady gets
I,
pregnant and all that
I
stuff.
have got some pretty strong views on homosexuality and transgenderism, where if we go back a step and we say like what changed, because humans just don't all of a sudden, like let's be extreme and say that in 1940s, no, let's say in 1902, zero people in the world were gay, and then in 2002, 10% of the world's population are gay. What happened there? Like, not that I'm not saying what happened is in, oh, this is a terrible thing, because I'm not against gay people. They can do what they want. Same with straight people, they can do what they want. But something happened, and I know like this Alex Jones saying they're turning the frogs gay and all that. I'm not on board with that, but something happened, and I'll use the example of like soy boys. You've heard that saying where a lot of men are feminine now. Like there's probably a lot of people looking at me with long hair going, "Oh, he's effeminate" and all that. But I'm not. I'm all man, trust me. But there is a lot of soy boy men out there that are like white knights who have more girl friends, and they've kind of been feminized. And a lot of people say that's hormone imbalance, and things like soy, like soy milk can make your estrogen go through. But there are loads of factors that can do that to people. I think even like being raised by a single mother, not that that's a bad thing, but that can attribute to it. Um, I kind of probably have some of that where I'll blast Shania Twain in the car and sing away, whereas some men would look at me and go, I'm that type of.
Okay, but that's the whole stereotype with men should be men. Men
Yeah.
don't cry.
I no, I don't like men don't cry, because that's a bad thing. That's something that has been put on men, and it's why probably a lot of men are the suicide rates are huge amongst men. But that whole thing is, you have to look at facts and figures and stats, like how have we got from there to there and what's happened. And when you include education, social media, the government, that's what it is. It's something that doesn't naturally just happen in human beings, where, like I said, in 1902, let's say there was zero gays, and in 2002 there's 10% of the population are gay. What happened? Like, that's the point. And I'm no expert, but if anyone
So,
in the chat
okay,
listening,
do you think that what happened is the fact that society became more accepting and more came out of the closet, that they were
no,
always there, but now, society is more open to it, so a lot more people are coming out.
I don't know. I've heard that. I think the wife goes along with that. She brought up that to me one day when I was talking like this, and she said about, like, was it in the Roman era where a lot of men were frequenting the baths, and they
Mhm,
were
mhm,
partic-
mhm.
and I'm not saying that there wasn't gay men back in those days or anything like that, but like you said, like how many school kids in their teens to their 20s are all experimenting and all doing these
Mhm.
things again. Let's say in 1902 and 2002, whatever that fact I was using, or that's hypothetical, that some of that would naturally happen, maybe. Well, not naturally. I don't like using naturally, because again, I think it is things like the soy and all these other factors that I'm going blank on, but a lot of it is those things. It's not just a natural thing. I don't think.
Okay, so that means that you're saying that diet can make someone gay.
Yeah, but that's what I know. You've not done that on purpose there, but that's what these people will do in the media. They'll corner someone like me on they'll get me on a TV show, and they'll go, "So you're saying that you think diet creates people gay?" And then they'll
Okay, but
create
that's
a headline.
okay, but if you're saying soy and other outside factors and food and what have you, then basically you're saying that food can make a person gay.
Yeah, but
I
a
mean,
percentage, like a percentage.
okay, but okay. So even if it's a percentage, then why this percent over here and not that percent over there? I mean, it's like, you know,
Yeah,
this
I
apple
mean,
is going to choose this person, but not that person. I mean,
yeah. No, I
I'm
totally
sorry,
get.
I can't get there. I,
No,
I can't get there.
I,
Sorry.
I thought you were with me up until there.
I mean, I was okay. I was like, okay, but when you threw in the food thing, I
No, no,
mean,
I'm not. I'm saying if I was to have drunk soy milk from day one, the moment I was born, I might not end up turning gay. I'm saying there are you know levels. People might be able to do that and not turn gay. I'm not saying this. This is going to be sound really bad. This bit we should probably edit this bit out and put it out as a short bit. Listen, Baramu is not saying that if you drink soy milk you will be gay. But what I am saying is there are contributing factors. If you take a pure a baby, and you make it drink soy milk or whatever the things are, and subject it to watching these shows that show you gay people, and bring up uh, let it be brought up by a single mother. These are factors like say this baby then turns out to be gay. No one will know this, but you could attribute maybe 10% of it was because it was drinking soy milk, and 5% was because it was watching those cartoons or programs that were
mhm,
consistently
mhm.
bombarding its brain with this is the normal. Watch two men kissing each other. Like, this is going to be horrible. I feel really bad now. I'm not against gay
No, I
people
mean,
at all.
no, I understand, what you're saying. You're basically, if I'm correct,
Mhm,
trying to find a reason
mhm,
on why people are gay or straight. Is that
mhm.
basically it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
because the better way of putting it is, right. If you're born into a family who have a loving mother and father who is loving and love you and love each other and are affectionate, kiss each other, cuddle each other, talk to each other, I am 1,000,000% sure that that kid will grow up straight. And I know a lot of people go like, how can you, how can you? But I can. Like, I know there's hormone imbalances, but when you're seeing that, that is the norm. That is.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that. But okay, so let's say that kid goes away to school. He's living in his own apartment, living in the dorms with his friends, whatever. And his friends are experimenting, or excuse me, his your son or daughter may have a gay roommate, whatever, and they're talking about different things and what have you. So who's to say that your child doesn't experiment, and then for whatever reason they prefer that lifestyle? They were brought up in this loving, family, hugging, kissing, cuddling. I love you. I love yous all over the place. But
Mhm,
now this child has made a decision that they want this particular lifestyle.
mhm. I mean that's what I'm saying. If that kid grew up with a loving mother and father, he'll look at those people and go, "That's wrong. That's weird." And vice versa. If you're brought up by gay parents and you see a man kissing a girl, you're probably going to go, "I'm glad I'm not one of them." Like, it's all down to the individual, obviously. And I'm telling you that there are factors, and to like, I believe this is maybe even a better way. I believe there is a way to bring up a human being that will have them not be gay and not be trans and not be whatever. Like, you can bring up a human being to be whatever you want it to be. Um, I genuinely believe it.
Okay, I agree with that all the way up until that child steps out into the world and they're around other people who are different from the people that they grew up with. They're around people who believe different things.
Mhm,
And depending upon the person, their mind can be swayed. I mean, just because you grew up drinking milk doesn't mean that you're gonna, you know, continue to drinking milk when you're older. You probably never liked it when your mom was making you drink it. Now you're 18, you don't have to drink it anymore.
mhm,
So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you still have those factors where when you're around other people, they can influence
mhm.
the things that you
Yeah, but
say or do.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is those factors wouldn't be there and I don't think there's anyone capable of eliminating those factors unless you really had the time to really sit with your son or daughter and like kind of talk to them and teach them. And I mean, I'm sure there's people sitting here. I even sound like myself, like I'm brainwashing my kid or whatever like that. And in a way, we kind of are. It's kind of brainwashing where you're bringing up a kid to see what is normal, and that's why I disagree with what you're saying, because I know what you're saying. If there are factors that maybe like I said, those are the factors. If it was brought up by a single parent, that would be a factor. If it was brought up by watching these soap operas, that would be a factor. There are factors, and that's what I'm trying to get at. But if you eliminate those factors, if you marry your wife and bring a kid into the world and you're in a loving marriage, you're going to eliminate that factor. If you don't subject it to TV and you sit and you do homework with your kid
Mhm.
and talk to your kid, sit your kid down, talk to them about sex education, talk to them about, be an open book, say, look, I'm here if you need to talk, teach your kid right and wrong. All those things are eliminating the factor. And this is again back to the conspiracy stuff, is what they are trying to do. Literally, like, they're removing all those elements from our lives. They're trying to break up the family unit because they're putting dating apps in. Like, dating apps is a huge, I could rant and rave about dating apps forever.
Mhm.
That's one way they do it, because people don't stay together anymore, because you just pick up your phone, you'll find someone new. Easy, so easy. And you're always feeling like you've got to compete. Men, women are always feeling like they've got to be on their tiptoes to keep a relationship going, because they know there's someone at the other end of the phone now.
Mhm.
Also, women with welfare, the government are providing more money for single moms. So a lot of mums will be like, why am I staying with this asshole? I can get X amount of money from the government. I'm chucking him out. And I know not all women are like that, don't get me
Right,
wrong, but
right,
there are
right.
women. These are all factors. What about taking your husband to CSA, the Child Service Agency, and getting the money? They've made it so hard for couples to stay together. And marriage back in the day was like 1 in 5 marriages failed. Now it's like 4 in 5. It's crazy. So these are, like, I could rant about this stuff for a long time, because it's like decadence, demoralization. They're trying to split up the family unit. Have they will then bring up your children, whether it's through school or through the media. Slap your kid in front of a TV, make both parents work. That's the stuff that 100% goes on.
But in terms of both parents working, and you use the word make, would you say that the way cost of living has gone up, that's the main reason that was purposely engineered to have two working families?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did this show on your show the other week there, and I was actually wondering, when did that happen? And I think it was World War II, where they said all the men's in war, women are going to have to jump in, and from then they've probably put up the cost of living to make it so that women, and I don't want to open that can of worms, but I do believe that one parent should be able to stay home, but it's impossible now. It's absolutely impossible. Both parents have to go out to work, and you've got to send your kid to school or pay for a childminder, and I don't think
I'm
they're
sorry,
getting the best
what did you call it? A child minder?
childminder. Yeah.
I've never heard that term before. That's interesting. Child minder.
Mm.
Okay. We say child care. And
Childcare.
and when I think about it, when I was when I was younger and I used to babysit, I was getting like 50 cents an hour. I got ripped off because now these people are getting like 600 a week and what have you. I'm like, I'm getting my little 50 cents an hour to take care of your, child, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The show I did last night, we were talking about um and you know what I've noticed? I don't see how people come on a show without a topic. I said I was going to do my show, no topic at all. Come up with your topic. No one said anything. I was literally going to cancel the show because no one was talking. No one that I'm like you said, you start talking to yourself, whatever.
Yeah.
And then slowly people started coming in. It turned out to be a really good show. We were talking about board games and
Mhm.
uh, I Love Lucy and all, a whole bunch of movies and stuff. So it turned out to be a fun show. But I have noticed that when you try to get people to come up with a topic and you don't have a topic,
Yeah.
they are like, no one wants to say anything. Even though they probably have topics that they want to discuss. But
Yeah. Mhm.
well, I will say, I have enjoyed this.
I know, me too.
I have enjoyed
I
this.
know.
I think when we're together and we can just
Yeah.
talk. What I'm looking forward to is when we're actually sitting down at the same
I know. I know.
together and we can have a video camera set up.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we just go out somewhere and eat whatever and we're
Yeah.
just talking. That is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
That's what
that'll be good.
I'm looking forward to. But I do have a question for you. Do you think let's see. Oh, okay, this is what I wanted to ask you. What do you think about Halloween? And does and in the UK, do you all celebrate it where they do here, like kids get dressed up and then they supposed to go door to door and get candy and all that other stuff?
So I've got to watch what I'm saying here because the wife's really into Halloween. Like over there, we've got pumpkin ornaments everywhere, cinnamon, pumpkin. It's like Halloween can't come quick enough for the wife. And I'm sure if you look over my shoulder,
I
there's.
I I saw that. I saw that.
Do you know? Can you make that out who they are?
That is I can't make out who they are, but I did see the photos.
Yeah, it's Vincent Price and
Oh,
Bella Lugosi.
no.
The wife's a huge horror, macabre, Halloween nut. She loves that stuff,
No,
like Frankenstein. My
so
wife, my wife loves the Adams Family. She models herself on Morticia, like all that
you
weird
know,
kind of stuff.
okay, tell your wife the Adams Family. In fact, my husband and I were talking about the Adams Family literally probably about 3 days ago, and we both
Okay.
said that was a show we just could not get into. It was just so. I mean, even though I was young when that show came on, it was
Yeah,
just so silly. And even
yeah,
now, it's in the rerun
yeah,
stage. And I was watching 1 or 2 episodes, and I was like, "How do people even watch this show?"
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Do you guys have the monsters? I'm not sure because I know my wife, she's delved into the
The
uh,
you mean the Munsters?
monsters, Willie
MU.
Monster and Herman.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
that's another one. She
yes.
has the box
Now
set and
that show cracks me up.
yeah.
It is so
Well,
hokey, but it's so
yeah.
funny.
Well, that show was on at tea time around about 5:30 every Saturday night, and normally I would be down at my grandparents and we'd be having tea, and that would be on, and my nanny just loves Herman, his laugh, like it's so funny. So, Halloween for me in the UK, it was kind of big in the 90s. I used to get dressed up as, well, I remember one year I wanted to go as Freddy Krueger, and my mum bought the peel stuff. Like you
Mhm,
put plaster on your face, you wait till it dries, and then you start peeling.
mhm.
And I lost. I was crying. I was taking a freak out. I was and she ended up saying, "Go to your room," and
What?
and that was kind of.
So you scared yourself?
No, it was just sore and itchy, and I was young. I
Oh,
was probably
okay,
only about 6 or 7 years of age, and I was like,
okay.
"Get this stuff off my face!" And she was getting mad, and she's like, "Get to your room." But people, we used to go out trick or treating, and but it kind of died down. I think maybe in the mid 2000s, there's a lot of people over here that don't do that kind of thing, and they all say it's an Americanized thing. It's something that's been taken and blown out of proportion. It's all money, money, money. And I think Valentine's is another one that they say that about. It's kind of a gone thing, but I like things like that. I think we should look at, but I also think we should look into them and really, like, the wife's big on this, where she doesn't like, what would be the word? A bit like cultural appropriation. Like, you should, if you're gonna wear a NASA T-shirt, you should know what NASA is. Or
Right,
if you're
right,
gonna
right,
wear a Star
right,
Wars T-shirt, you should have watched all the shows.
right.
There are people that kind of just do it because it's the thing, but if you're going to do something, you should do your research. And I'm getting a bit more like that, where, and it might come across as a bit like the conspiracy theorist
Yeah,
is done this to
but
me.
when you're a kid and you're 5 years old, you can't say you should have watched all of the Star Wars,
Yeah,
whatever. I mean, you're
no,
just going to. I mean, I
yeah,
can see if you went to an adult, party, whatever. But when you're just running around the neighborhood, but one thing that I do think is, I I think it's sad that Halloween has become it's become a holiday where people are afraid to let their children go out.
yeah,
So because when I was, I mean, for me, it was like kids were everywhere. We were up and down the street on the other block. We were, I mean, we were everywhere. But now they have these things called trunk parties, where for some places you go to like a school and you're in the
mhm,
parking lot and people have their trunks open and the kids go around, getting candy, whatever. But to me,
mhm,
that's not, I mean, come on, that's not the same thing, whatever. I just think that it's just a shame that the danger
mhm,
element is so out there now
yeah.
that is ruined it for a
Like,
generation of kids.
I do get that, and again, this is playing back into what we've just spoken about. Is like that fear is what's changed. Like, because in the UK, I remember my nanny saying to me a lot that when they were in their 20s and 30s, they would go out the house and leave the door wide open. That was a thing.
Mhm.
Like in the UK, you would, to go across to the shop for a pint of milk or a loaf of bread, you would literally leave your door wide open where people could walk in and out. It was not a thing. It's just, so take that and then go, well, what's changed? And it's obviously, on this instance, I would say that there is probably more reason to do what we're doing now, because there is a lot more crazy people out there. But at the same time, I don't think there is as much as they like us to believe.
I
I
think
don't.
there's the same amount of crazy now as it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's just that social media and
Yeah,
everything has put it out there,
yeah,
where before you had serial killers,
hmm,
they were running around, whatever. But now, everyone just hears about the stuff
yeah.
more and more. So, because here in some states, which I think is so stupid, have you heard the term free range kids?
No.
Free range kids are, because I was a free range kid. Free range kids are kids who they run around without their parents, whatever. Like my mother always said, be in the house when the street lights
Street lights.
come on. Right. Okay. So but all day I'm here, I'm there, I'm riding my bike over here, there. Now you can get in trouble if you have a free range kid. If your kid is out at the park and they are not, and you're not with them, you can get in trouble. And I
Wow.
think that's just crazy. I understand that, yes, you're concerned that someone could grab your kid. Well,
Mhm.
somebody could have grabbed me 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like now it's like we're so into this danger thing
Hmm.
that, so you're gonna tell me that my kid can't go to the park with his friends or just go
Yeah.
play on the swings by themselves without
Yeah.
me, and if I don't go, then I'm gonna have the, cops at my door saying, you're under arrest or
Mhm.
you're not a good parent. I mean, come on.
No, that's crazy. So,
You know,
so if the police was to go up to the kid and say, "Where do you live?" and it was maybe out with a radius, the police officer could take your kid
yeah, I mean,
home
even
and
if your child lives across the street from the park and they say, "Where do you live?" and the parent and kid says, "I live right there," whatever, they will come knock on your door and you can
wow.
get in trouble. And I think, and I just think that that's crazy. So, um, because I mean, it's literally to the point where it's an age thing now for some of them. And when I was younger, I rode my bike constantly. I mean, constantly. In fact, Feisty One and I were talking the other day where we're talking about how we just used to ride our bikes. Remember, we used to go out with so and so and so and so, and we would be over here and we would ride all the way over there, and we were just talking about that. And it's like, so you're telling me that this group of 12-year-olds or 14-year-olds can't be in a group
Mhm.
riding their bikes or whatever, and because an adult is not there with them.
Mhm.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I think you get a lot of this stuff. Are you familiar with Sebastian Maniscalco, the comedian?
Mm-mm.
He does. I just love him.
Is he in the UK?
No, he's American.
What's his
He's
name?
Sebastian Maniscalco. I know it's a tough one. I couldn't even spell it myself,
Okay,
but
I'll
I I like comedians that talk about real things. Like he'll rant about everyday life. He'll talk about his wife, and I love that type of comedy where it gets you thinking. And even like he's done that exactly what you've just said. He's spoke about that, and he also spoke about. Here's another one that we could maybe touch on is remember. Well, for me in the 90s when I was a kid, if you had someone knock at your door, it was like, oh, who's at the door? Oh, and then, oh, let's get the tea and coffee made and let's get the cakes out and sit down and, oh, you're leaving. Oh, it's been really good seeing you. Now, when someone knocks at your door, it's like, shut your curtains, we're not in, turn down the volume. And that's the joke he does. And it's so true. Like, people don't want to even phone. We're always have our phones in our pocket, but yet when your phone goes, it's like, not answering that, or you go phone your granny. You haven't spoke to her in a week and a really, it's that is something I don't even know why. That's something but do you know why do you think that is?
Like you said, everyone has their phones, and I mean, because everything. Okay, having a phone with you consistently
Hmm.
makes it where you can do things and you don't have to do things. You can, if someone calls, you either answer that call
Yeah.
or you can ignore it.
Mm.
Before when we had cell phones, the phone would ring. My sister and I are both running to get the phone.
Yeah.
We're like, who's going to answer it, whatever. And then when the extension phones came in, where you had two phones,
Mm.
one person's running to that room and the other person's running over here, whatever. But now it's like everything is just so convenient that we're so used to having it that we're also used to ignoring it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but more so on like why people don't want to talk or communicate with people, like the whole.
Because I don't think they know how. I don't think people
Maybe.
know how. I mean, if you ask someone to sit down and write a letter to someone,
Hmm.
I don't think they would know how. And one
Yeah.
thing that I always insisted that my son do is once a week, he had to write a letter. I don't care who it was to, I don't care if it was to himself. He
Hmm.
had to write a full page letter, not and when he got old enough, it had to be in cursive.
Okay.
And to this day, my son has the most beautiful handwriting, whatever. But he was like, "Mom, I don't care. Write it to Santa Claus, write it to whomever. You're going to sit down and write a letter."
Okay.
And I don't think that people know how to talk to each other. They're so used to responding to this person that they don't know on Instagram or on Twitter or whatever, but to actually, you
Yeah.
know, talk to someone, they
Hmm.
don't they don't know how.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was in the car a couple of years ago and I was with a friend and her daughter and her friends were in the back seat and they all were so excited we were going to the beach and they were
Hmm.
all so excited. Oh, I mean, yeah, and we haven't seen each other so long. The two of us in the front, the adults, we're talking to each other, we're laughing, whatever. And then I turned around and all three of those girls,
Yeah.
whatever, they did not say a word to each other. And then their mom said, one of the girls' mom said, um, "You all are not even talking to each other." They said, "Yes, yes, we are." They were texting each other.
Wow.
So
Wow.
then when we got to the beach, again, my girlfriend and I, we're sitting there and we're laughing, talking, whatever. And the three of them, the entire time, they had their phones out. And I'm like, what the hell are we here for? Seriously. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I don't think they know how. I don't
Yeah.
think that they literally, if you take the phone away, you
Yeah.
literally have to force them. Okay, everything you were texting, can you be verbal? Can you talk? But I don't think people know how.
Yeah.
Not just
That's a good point.
children. I think adults too. They don't know how.
Yeah. That's a good. I think you've answered it there. That's a good point. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm guilty as well. Like I'm one of the world's worst for when someone's talking to me. I'm like, yeah, okay. Oh, is that right? Oh, okay. And the wife, she'll pull me up for it. And even when I go up to visit my nanny, she'll be watching our shows, and I'll be on my phone, and I'll look up occasionally at the TV, and she's like, "You've been on that phone the whole day." And I'm like, "Well, I don't like watching TV, so unless you want to talk, but." It's just, I know it's a bad thing. It really is.
Well, one thing
Communicate.
that I do not like, and I have one person I absolutely refuse to go to lunch with, and she gets mad at me. So if she's listening to this, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Um, Whenever we would go to lunch or dinner, whatever, she would be on her phone. I'm like, are we here together having dinner?
Yeah,
Or, I mean, my phone is down. Can we like are we talking here? Or because I could have eaten at home,
yeah,
So I stopped going out with her and she got mad. I said, why am I going to go out with you and spend money and
yeah,
we're not even talking? It
yeah.
makes no sense.
Hmm.
So, the people who I do go out and have lunch and stuff with, we are actually conversing. We're having a conversation. But you
Hmm.
look over at other tables and you can see couples there and they're just sitting there on their phones. I'm like, so why did you all even come out? You all could have stayed at home.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but
I know.
that's just me. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're at
So
the hour and a half mark. So you
yeah,
want to keep going
I was
or?
just going to ask any upcoming shows that we can tell the listeners about. If you
Well, we
secured
have next
Reagan
on the
and
15th, we have Reagan coming on and Michael Key coming on for our transgender show. And that's
15th.
on Sunday, everyone. Sunday, the 15th of May.
Okay.
And then we have uh, our abortion show. Are we going to try to do that one?
I thought were you asking Scooter and
Oh, that's
Spunk?
right. Scooter, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're listening to this, he's going to kill me. So we are going to have Scooter and Spanky on from Podbean, from the Beans and Weenie show. That is on the 21st, which is
21st.
Saturday, the 21st.
And
So, and the
that
only reason
show is
why
going
we're
to
going
be,
to the 15th, everyone, is because one of our guests, they can only make it that Sunday. So
yeah.
the 15th is transgender. The 21st is Scooter and Spanky from Beans and Weenie. And
Yeah.
that'll probably be like a music type show, how music has affects society, or with them, it could go
Yeah.
other places. I know you and Scooter can probably
Yeah.
think of some other
It was really nice hearing him. I think I've only listened to him. I think he was a guest on John DeVito's show, and that's the only time I've ever heard him because his show's on while I'm sleeping, like
right.
many other good shows. Hopefully, I'll get on night shift. I actually asked my boss on Friday, any chance of me getting on night shift? And I'm waiting to be uh, in the welding thing. We get coded, so it's like you've got to sit a test. So as soon as I've done that, I'll get to do night shift. So
But I
I'm
thought you did the 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off.
no, because there's only three of us for just now. They might take on a fourth welder, and then it will be. But
Okay.
well, it's three of us. It'll be every 3 weeks. I'll be 1 week of night shift. So, um, I'm really looking forward to that because I'll get some of the night shows. I'll even catch Jester's show because his is obviously. I think he must start earlier, or obviously he said to us the other day he wasn't doing a second show, so his first show must start at like
When,
5 in the morning my time. So
well,
I'll
his
catch.
show tomorrow night starts for me at 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's 10, 8, 9, 10. It's 11:30 his time. So he
Okay.
starts late for
Yeah.
himself. So
Okay.
yeah. So
So I'm looking forward to the American Night Crew, all those shows, because I hear they're pretty lively. And I mean, I was grateful for you sent Q Bella's Talk Hard with Tuddles the other night, and I listened to it at work, and they mentioned me. They were saying Baram, you would be a good guy to have on this show. And they sent a thing, and then someone says he's actually on night shifts. He'll be sleeping right now. Sorry. So it'll be good to finally meet some of them and get chatting.
Well, one thing I will say is I don't know how you feel about the whole music thing, but I absolutely love Beans and Weenies
Yeah.
Cold Club Cold
Mm.
Blue. I
Yeah.
love the music. So I have it on while I'm doing other things. I'm just rocking away. So
Yeah. So that's that. Reagan on the 15th, transgender show, Reagan and Michael Key. 21st will be with Scooter, which is a music and how it's changed or made an impression on society, is it?
mm-hmm.
And then hopefully probably the 2 weeks after that would be, or 1 week after that if you want, the abortion show with, you said you wanted Shy Lady and Jester possibly.
Yeah.
So that'll be just to let our listeners know what to expect from the Friendly Differences podcast. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, unless you have anything else, we can wrap it up.
No, I've really enjoyed this show. I was going to say this, and I'll say it now. I love, and I don't think I've said this to you before, but I remember hearing you on Jester's podcast before me and you made contact or like kind of struck up a relationship. And that performance by you on that show was amazing. It was really good because I was
What was
early
I
in the
talking about?
No, it's just the way, and you've done it here tonight again, where you ask someone a question and then you've got another question and another, and it sounds, for me, definitely, it sounds like raw and authentic. Like you're not. It's like okay, well then, what do you think about that? That is a gift.
And,
I
see,
love that.
and that's what I meant when I say, well, what would happen if it's just that
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
constantly thinking about
It's
things.
it's almost childlike, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying like it, because
I
a lot of people, including myself, that's why I'm not good on a show where I have to talk on my own. But even in this instance, like I could have probably been better. Where okay, then well, what happens next? Or okay, and then pivot with another question where you're really good at that, and that's where these conversations I've really enjoyed tonight because it was, you know, the way your mind works and your questioning it, it's really good.
Well, I enjoy conversations with you, period. So, and I truly mean that. So I'm not blowing smoke up your butt.
No,
I am totally serious. I enjoy conversation with you. And even when we, get a little testy and push back. Oh, and we please settle something for people out there because people have made comments
yeah,
about us getting testy with each other and what have you.
yeah,
Everyone, we're fine.
yeah,
Okay? We're
yeah.
fine. Like brother and sister, just
Yeah.
fight each other. Okay.
I've said to yourself, and I said, see, when we're talking about things like this, like politics or societal stuff, when we're getting testy with each other, to me, it's not with each other; it's with our views. And to me, I can keep it separate. Me and you could have a big blowout on a show over. Well, we spoke about spanking the other night. Corporate punishment,
Mhm,
corporal.
mhm.
Um, and me and you literally we didn't, but we could have really went. Oh, and then I could literally come off that show, and phone you, and go, "Hey, Solid, that's how I am. Like I'm not. I know." And you actually worried me the other night because you were telling myself and Scooter, "Oh, I can hold a grudge." So I'm like, "Oh,
Well, no,
I
no.
know,
And
I know,
again, I say if it's a repeat offender, and
yeah,
depending upon what it is, but again, like I said, my dad, when I was young, my dad used to always say, "You will hold on to something, and you will hold on to it, and you will just not let it go." And again, years later, I am still the same. So this is something that I've carried with me from
yeah,
probably birth. I was probably pissed off at something, so I don't know.
yeah,
So, but
awesome,
but if I was pissed off at you and really mad at you, I would tell you.
okay,
So
that's good,
you don't have to wonder. You will know. You will know
okay,
because I will tell you. So, all right, everyone. Well, we're going to wrap it up, and hope to see you next time. Hope to
yeah.
see you next week. All
See you in
right.
the next one, guys. Bye.